Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Wieland, the host of the WB Download, and I want to invite you and welcome you to our podcast. My brother and I own and operate Wieland Builders. It's a custom home building company here in Southwest Ohio. The WB Download mostly focuses on interviewing folks associated with custom building. We stray now and then to interview people who I think are interesting and to break up the monotony of the same old podcast. I also like to highlight things that are going on in my everyday life along with our businesses. I started this podcast to help people understand the custom builder world, but to also give people a chance to hear what others have to say and highlight their expertise and experiences in life. We drop on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month with a new topic and or guest each time. I hope you join us here on the WB Download and enjoy listening and hearing stories of people in and out of the custom builder world. Welcome to the WB Download. Well, hello again, everybody. This is Jeff Wieland here on the WB Download. Thank you for tuning in with us once again on this Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. I hope everybody's enjoying this fall weather that we've had here. A little cool down finally. And, of course, now with all the rain we've had, we need some rain, but it is what it is. So we've been hitting the road. You know, my family and I, we put all four of us in the truck, and for the last several weekends, with the exception of this past weekend, we've gone about 1,200 miles, and we visited probably 16 farms and looked at a couple hundred cattle, trying to find Cody and Raina's 4-H project for next year. So it's stressful, it's difficult, it's fun, but we've been at it. We've been at it hard, looking for what they want to do. We've got a budget, and people always say, "I mean, I can't believe you don't just pull those animals off your farm and go show them." Our animals are cows for the most part. They're not show quality steers unless we just get lucky, like we did last year with one we had from the homegrown show, but. Yeah, they're not made for showing, I guess, and it's kind of difficult to explain over this microphone. But, and one thing's proven to me after I'm looking at all these steers and all this stuff is I am a cow guy. I was raised in the cow business by a guy named Jared Payne and Steve Smith, and along with being around a lot of other people in school, the Ohio State University has put me in a position to be a cow guy. So when it comes to looking at steers, you got to have a different eye. So we've been doing a lot of that. We hauled a couple of beef up to Oxford to, I said this the last time, and we got some beef chop, sold a bunch of it. And, man, I'm telling you, that's good stuff. Good stuff. I want to, we got so much other stuff going on. I'm not going to bore everybody with what we're doing on the farm all the time, but we started fall calving there, last week, and, we've had 2 so far. One of them is just a little short. Man, I mean, it only weighs like 50 pounds, and I thought maybe it was a twin, and the other one hadn't come out yet, but I've been helping it nurse and get it going, and off of a really good cow that we got. So I'm hoping that everything's going to work out fine with a little bit of assistance from us on that, and continues to go on. We still got 8 more to go for the fall, and then we start into the spring calving coming in January. But so we got a lot of birthdays here. This week alone, we've got Leanne and Eric's birthday that works here at Wieland Builders. So we're going to celebrate that this coming Friday, I believe. Hopefully go out and have some fun. Everybody's birthday here in the company. We go out and do something nice for them. But last week, we celebrated Cody's birthday. My son, Cody, he turned 14. And when he turned 13, when he turns 8, I kind of look around. I'm like, yeah, this is moving along. Now he turns 14. He's about as tall as I am. Wears a size 13 shoe and is just like, I feel like he's an adult. I mean, the things he does and the things we do together, it's amazing. So I was pretty excited. We celebrated his birthday this past weekend with his friends. It was homecoming in Lebanon. So, we spent his actual birthday at the game and kind of hanging out. His choice of what we wanted to do. So back here at Wieland Builders, we just keep on building houses, I was talking to somebody, I was having a conversation with one of our past customers, and just talking on the phone about nothing. And I realized that we do a lot of work for people. So we build their house, and then we come back and we build a detached pool building. We build a in-law suite. We'll finish their basement. We do a lot of different things. And I'm like, man, I'm proud of that, because I'm glad that we have this, like, we work for that family, and that's what we do. And I've done that with a number of different people, and And like I said, I never realized how appreciative and how grateful I should be for that, because that means we've done something right, and we keep on getting to work with these people. So it's a lot of fun. So we have a lot of those projects coming up and going on right now. We're finishing a big one up here in Liberty Township this week. Those people are going to move in next week, and this one's been going on for a while because it is a great big house. It was a big project, and we're you keep an eye on our website and on social media for this one, because it's really, really neat to be able to see. And I'm glad to see these guys getting in there. Again, this guy has got a partner in his business. We built his partner's house. We built their house, and we continue to work for these guys. So I'm proud of that and grateful for it as well. But today we were going to do an interview with one of our past customers, but also a guy who's on a mission. His name is Brian Lapthorne. I should quit talking about who I'm going to have on the show next in the previous show, because it always backfires. Because we weren't able to connect. He's got some things going on, and but we've talked quite a bit here in the last couple weeks and understand why. So we're going to catch him at the end of the month here. September is Suicide Awareness Month and Mental Awareness Month, and that's one of the things that Brian and I are going to discuss. Not only is he a past customer, he's got an interesting job in what he does as far as people. He's in the people business, and plus he's also got a story to tell, and I can't wait to get him back here on the show. So I thought today what we would talk about is Homearama approaches for 2025. Even though we're not building in the show, my family has one of the longest histories of the show in Southwest Ohio, and so I thought, well, let's talk about it. Actually, Leanne said, hey, why don't we talk about it? We have a blog coming out about it, and so I thought it was a great idea. Let's touch base on it. The Home Builders Association of Greater Cincinnati is the folks who put on the show. They own the name Homearama, and that's how we put it together. So how does this whole thing evolve? Number one, we need a site. And we need a site submitted. And when I was first coming into this, my first show that I shared was 2000, was 2000, 25 years ago in Rivers Bend. And so we would have started in 1999. The first show I was probably ever at was back in the 80s. And the first show that I think my dad built in was like 76. And so we've been, oh man, what is this? Our 26th year building in the show, and so we're a little bit seasoned on it. I've been around a long time. The point of this saying is, back in the day, we used to get 8 to 10 sites submitted. We'd get on a bus. There'd be 20, 25 different people on this bus, and we'd go look at sites all day long, and then we'd come back and we would debate, sometimes heated debates about which site we were going to choose. And so nowadays it gets to be a lot less, because there's a lot fewer developers. There's a lot of national builders here in town who are the developers of the land for the most part. And it's tough to develop sites for custom builders, because developers want to come in, get in and get out, make their money and move on, and custom builders have a tendency to take a little bit longer than production builders do. So we need to find a special site. Went through a task force a couple years ago there with the Home Builders Association that I led, and tried to say, hey, the Homearama needs to turn a corner. We need to make this thing great. Did a whole year and a half's worth of work that did absolutely nothing, went nowhere. Thank God for that. I thank God I put all my time into that. But we did create a group, and hopefully they're going to do something with it someday. But we have an ideal site in mind for the show. It needs to be desirable, for one, but there are some specific requirements that we need. For one, it has to host parking. And back in the day, it was 12 acres, which was 1,200 cars. And that has to be, that's very important, because if the parking sucks, people are getting stuck, or, there's not a good parking lot, or we're busing, that makes a difference on how busy the show is. That makes a difference on how comfortable it is to view the houses, makes a difference on the experience that the customer gets coming to the show. And then, it has to be the local government. We want them on board. We want them excited about it. We submitted a site in Indian Hill, and Indian Hill came back one time and said, we do not want Homearama over here. It's not our caliber of people or homes, which I thought was pretty typical of what goes on there. So, all right, let's go somewhere else. So we went somewhere else. Turns out when you go back and look at the neighborhood that we submitted for Homearama, it's a hodgepodge of not so great houses. And I'm just embarrassed by it, but it is what it is. So, but we want local government on board. And so that's the trustees, the county commissioners, the police department, the fire department. Everybody wants to get excited about the Homearama show coming there. We want additional lots for the builders to be able to buy. So a builder goes in, puts all their hard work, effort, and promotes the community for the developers, sells houses, sells lots in there. We want an opportunity to be able to build more than one house in that neighborhood. So we want additional lots available to them. You got to have good access to the property. I mean, it's got to be, where we don't want to be on a thoroughfare where you can't get in and out of there. We have to have police directing traffic every night, which is something that we do anyway. But it's got to be accessible and probably local. It's got to be desirable, at a desirable area. It's not like you submit a piece of dirt and everybody's like, yeah, let's go put a house there. It's got to be a desirable area, and it's got to hold, the community has to hold the caliber of home that we, or the customers being people who attend Homearama, want to go and see. Because quite honestly, the way we look at it with the Home Builders Association is you can go see a neighborhood model any day of the week. And you can see a standard model anytime pretty much anytime you want. Go out, make an appointment, or just walk through it. When you come to Homearama, we want you to see a wow factor. We want you to be excited. We want to show new, innovative things, but we also want to see some things that you don't normally get to see on a daily basis. You get to tour these homes. We want you to be able to come out and get ideas. And of course, a lot of builders, we want to get some business off of you. So those are the needs that we have for the show, and those are just a few. I'm cutting a lot of corners for something, and that's how we arrive at where we're going to build and what we're going to do. The most important thing is we have to get builders on board that say, hey, we're gonna market this, and we want to build in the show. And if you don't have that, you can't have a show. So that gets to be pretty difficult. Back in the day, years ago, the builders would build market houses, and it wasn't a big deal as long as they sold their house from the year before. Now, everybody does what we do. They want to build a custom house in there. They don't want to run the risk of building a house on a market and hope that they sell it. So we need builders. And why would a builder want to build in Homearama? Well, number one, it promotes your product. You got to be really good at what you're doing there to promote your product, letting all these people come through. You got to have thick skin, big shoulders, because people are going to come through and talk about your house right in front of you. But a builder wants to be in the show because they want to sell houses off of it. They want to display their product to the public. They want to be able to promote for me anyway, I want to promote our trades and our suppliers and all the people that work with us and show off what we do. When we get to build a house for a customer, it's awesome, but we don't get to show it. We do on the internet a little bit, but we don't get to show it where people can walk through it all the time. So it's a lot of fun. The main thing is it's really promoting your product and promoting you as a builder. Why would a customer want to build in Homearama? Well, you get a lot of discounts, and you get that from us going out and hustling it and working hard, talking to people. And the reason why we get discounts is because you're promoting those people. You're promoting. Now, you cannot go into a Homearama build and say, I'm going to get $100,000 worth of discounts, because that's stupid. What you are probably going to get is a lot of upgrades, a lot of different things that, I say not upgrades, but things that you're going to get that's going to show off that maybe you didn't want or didn't think of. You're going to get a lot of different advantages. Plus, I think that when you have a Homearama house, that's always something to hang your hat on later on. If you go to sell that house, the value of the house, that's the first thing that somebody's going to put in the comments is, this was a Homearama home. So it's going to be pretty neat. So I think that people want to build that. And another reason is that it's guaranteed end date, because you have to be done by the time the show starts. And so you get to build a house with Homearama with discounts in a fantastic neighborhood. The other advantage is already what your surroundings are in that neighborhood. The caliber of houses that are going to be built around you. And when you're going to move in. So why should you go to Homearama? As a person, I go because I really love it. I talk to people year after year after year in that show, and they go because they've gone since they were a little kid. It's tradition for them. I talk to a lot of people because they're building a house and they want to get ideas, and they're coming through and looking at all of our different things. and that we can do. And they take them back and take them to their builder, or they're remodeling. And I guarantee it's probably 80% people who come through there are remodeling their house and they're getting ideas. And I want to make sure that people know that because the house is $1 million, $2 million or whatever it is, don't think that you can't come out there and get ideas and take them home and scale them to whatever caliper you are willing to scale them to. Get the ideas, take them back and make them work for your home, and enjoy it. I mean, there's always things you can do. And it's a date night. It's a night out. We've made it to where, you can go out and get a glass of wine or get a beer or whatever and walk around. We have bands playing. There's been not that great of choices of food the last couple of years, but hopefully we can correct that and get some different food trucks out there, make a date night out of it, and go out and just enjoy the show, walk around and get some ideas. Hopefully you'll see us there and you'll build a house. Now we're not building a house this year because it's down in the city limits, in the Cincinnati city limits, and you can't pay me enough to go back down there and build another house in the city limits of Cincinnati. So why should you host a Homearama as a developer? Well, I think that for one, it promotes your subdivision. You get a bunch of sales right off the bat. You get a lot of things happening for you. Like if you start a neighborhood and you got national production builders in there, great. It's going to take off. You're going to sell houses. But if you are coming to for custom builders and you get 6 to 10 sales right out of the gate, you get a handful of other things happening in there with all of the stuff that we're doing. As far as a Homearama, man, that puts you on the map and can make you really take off and go to town. So that's pretty cool. So for me, and building in the show, some different things that I really like about it. Number one is we get to show off our product and to all the people around. We get to get guys that work on the house that don't always get to see the finished product. You think about the footer guys and the excavators and the foundation guys and the bricklayers. They're not there when the house is done, so they get an opportunity to come back, and we love it when they can come back and we can walk through them, and they're like, "Holy cow, we had no idea this is what you did." So that's really fun. But and most importantly, it's a tradition for our family. Our company and my family has a history of putting ourselves out there for people to see the things that we do. Whether it's the Homearama show, whether it's the building the float for the Reds parade, being in front of millions of people physically, and build our cattle business, and we're always putting our stuff out there for the cattle business and going to show them. It's just making sure that we always are on top of our game and doing things to the best of our ability, and that's one of the things that we really love about it. So anyway, so there's some other things that let's talk about, some ideas that you get when you're in here, and this list comes from Leanne, and we're going to talk about the different houses that we built. So I want to make clear that one of the things that I let's talk about the negatives of Homearama is one thing is when we're building a Homearama house, I don't want my other customers going, well, we know you got Homearama going on, because Homearama is great. I mean, we love it, but it's another house for us to build. It doesn't take precedence over anything that we've got for other customers. In fact, many of our other customers' houses are probably a higher caliber than what we're doing for a Homearama house. So that was a downfall for that, and that was one of the things that slowed me down. If it's not the right fit. For instance, this year it's row houses down within the city limits. Not the right fit for us. We're not going to build in a show. If it's not the right caliper of home that we have, then we're not going to build in a show. There's certain things that happen there. I didn't go down through the builder selection process, like how a builder gets picked to be in the show. I'm going to back up for a second and take you down through that process. We want a certain caliber of builder in the show. And sometimes that gets difficult. But you can't go to somebody and say you aren't good enough. But we do have a higher standard for the show. What happens is you come over to the Home Builders Association. For one, you got to be a good standing member of the Home Builders Association, a builder member, which means that you would have had to have been a member for at least a year. And then you go into a draw process. And so you say, okay, I want a lot. You have to put up a $25,000 or $30,000 deposit, and your name gets put into the list, and then you get, and then so let's say there's 10 builders who want to build in the show randomly, and so now there's 10 numbers in a hat, and so you can go up, and the person who has the most points, so Wieland Builders would have the most points in Southwest Ohio here, because we've built in the show the longest, we've been members the longest, all of those things add up, and we go up and we pick a number out of the hat first. We might pick number 10, which means that we are 10th in line to pick our lot, which is not great. We might get a 1, we might get a 5, whatever. And that's the order and how we pick. And then that's how we end up with our lots. Now, if I have a pre-sale and I've got a customer that wanted that lot, we can show them our contract, show them our deposits, and say, all right, this is a lot we want. And they will make exceptions so we can build in the show. If there's more than one person that wants that lot, I don't think we've ever had that come across, but I'm not really sure what we do. I guess we would have to fight to the fight to the death to get that. Just kidding. So let's talk about favorite rooms and luxury designs that has captured our attention and a lot of people's attentions at the show. A lot of these images are on our website, and I want you to go to our website and check these things out if you haven't already. But a pub and a bar, a wine room, some of these things are on the first floor. We've done this multiple times, in our thought process here is that, people are living on their first floor. They're living on their back porch. Finished basement is a neighborhood thing where it's great, unless it's actually useful for rooms and things, becomes more of a trend. So we're like, hey, everybody wants to stay on the first floor. Let's do this. So we started putting a pub and a bar on the first floor. We did first in 2021 and at Homearama. And then we came back and did it in the Mulberry Ridge. And we did it in the Vandoren, which you're going to see on our website, which is the one we're closing this week. Pretty cool. Very, very cool. Some of the things, one of the things that I talk about most when we first get into the design is this area, this entertainment area. Bring the outside in and the inside out. So the way we do that is we use these Pella sliding doors, and they are either a big stacker or they're a 16-foot wide door that has 4 huge panels on it, lets plenty of light in, and opens it up. We have these big stacker doors where they go sometimes 30, 40 feet, as long as we can get a beam that stretches across the top of it. And we can get these things to go really big, opening this whole area up. So now when I'm entertaining, I'm standing in the kitchen and I can walk through my great room. I can walk through the dining area. I can walk out to the back porch and just have this huge, spacious, great area to do this with. Plus, we want to make sure it's bringing in lots of light, and those big Pella doors allow us to do so. Our stairs have always been a statement. I guess I should back up. Let's talk about this sliding glass. So there's the Mulberry Ridge, Pickwick Place. Just about a lot of our houses have these big doors in there. It's just something that I don't know. I love it. I get excited about it. The stairs are always a big statement for Wieland Builders, and I like this because I don't want it to just be a set of stairs. It doesn't have to just be. Let's make them old school. Let's separate them. Let's get them going in a couple different directions. Let's leave a great big hole going from the second floor all the way to the basement. Lots of railing and man, make it something pretty cool. We can do this. You can see this in the Arden. That was a really cool set. The Woodford is a lot like the Pickwick Place, where it jumps back and forth quite a bit. The Heartland Haven is we started adding windows to staircases. Like in my house, you can see the landing through the window into the staircase, which was something that was unheard of. But we do all that. We open them up, lighten them up, make it a great space. Don't just send them back into a tight 3-foot hallway. Let's make them big old stairs. And you can see at House of Peace, River Bell, all of them. The River Bell, along with what was the name of the other one, Homearama House in 2020, the Millard Fillmore. Take a look at those stairs, because that whole house, the basis of that house was the stairs. It was 5 stories tall, 50 feet from the top floor down to the basement, and you can see some pretty cool pictures of the stairs in there. Cathedral ceilings with beams and the fireplaces in the great room. all, I mean, this is a big topic of conversation. Where we get into a big topic of conversation on these beams is not if we're going to do it, because we'll probably do it, but what kind of beams are they going to be? Now, the big thing that makes a difference is we have a big cathedral ceiling going out through the back porch, and we've got some trapezoid windows that are shaped windows in that gable going out to the back porch. I don't want to block that with a bunch of beam work. So our beams are flush up to the ceiling. And then when you talk about beams, it's like, what kind of material is it? What's the species of wood? Are they, what color is the stain? Are you matching something? Are you carrying something from one room to the other? And of course, I go on a tangent. Most important part about that is making sure that the beams look real, like they're holding something up, even though they're not. You can see this in the Stony Oaks, Pickwick Place, Woodford, Vanderen, Peoda, or the Ashby Manor. The Ashby Manor had a cathedral ceiling that went from the left side of that house to the right side of that house, and we built some really cool knotty alder, arched, really elaborate beams in that house. So that was pretty neat. And then every single one of them, though, I want to make sure that I can't say this enough. Every single one of the beams that we put in these houses were intentional. They weren't like, put some beams here, put some stone over here. It doesn't work like that. We want to make sure that they're intentional. And I think you should do the same if you're designing a home. Gables on the houses, I mean, these things are pretty cool that you're looking at. When you stand, I always say architects, but I think it's everybody that needs to know this. Architects have a saying that you're going to feel comfortable in a room and you don't know why. It could be the ceiling height, could be the paint color, could be the flooring, could be the openness. It could be a lot of different things. When you talk about exterior elevations on a house, it's the same thing. And I have a hard time sitting here describing it to you unless I had a house sitting side by side. And so when we talk about gables and talk about roof structures and the things that are happening on these homes, this is a big thing. And when you're in production building or non-custom building, because there is no semi-custom, just remember that, you're either all in or you're not. You don't get any appraisal value for exterior selections. So that's why a lot of these houses look simple. My friend Jack Rupp calls it a Kansas City mullet, where these guys put hardy plank on the front and put vinyl siding on the sides and the back, because I have no idea where he got that term at, but I thought it was one of the greatest things ever. And then I could see people doing it, is hilarious. But so you better not see that in a Homearama. And if you do, don't ever go back. But so these you have to look at it and understand that there's a value to the look of your home. And I'm really big on this to make sure that it has curb appeal. Pitch of the roof, dormers. You got to have the right shingle. You can't just get a dimensional shingle. You got to have the right shingle. Metal standing seam roofs, accent roofs. Making sure that the stone is not an everyday stone. When you get into this manufactured stone, like every house needs to have stone on it now, and it doesn't. Our Homearama house in Pickwick Place did not have any stone on it. It had all this really ornate, cool, tumbled brick on it that we painted. And it was very classy, and I loved every part of it. So just making sure that you can understand when you look at these things. It could be freeze board, it could be the soffit, whatever type of material it is. All of these things have a big play in them when you look at that. When you look at exterior houses, and it's got to be tasteful. You got to know what you're doing, designing these things and drawing these things, because I've seen some houses and I'm like, man, where did you get that plan at? Sears Roebuck. But so the gables on the outside, the exterior is very important. Exterior cedar accents, these things are a great idea. They look magnificent. They look unbelievable. The biggest pain about these things is you're going to have to maintain them. You're going to have to stain them every year, if not every 2 years, on these things. And then after a while, it starts to become where it looks like it was painted. That's the downside. But the cool side is that this is something other than just a plain white, plain painted column or a gable accent or something. The trellises that we did above Pickwick Place last year are so cool, and we do that quite a bit. The Royal Haven, the Woodford, we did a lot of cedar columns. Our office here in Westchester has cedar columns on the front of it that make it stand out. This also, that cedar really depends on which way your house faces and how you're putting that cedar on there. Some of it could take more of a beating than other parts of it. But good idea. So stone and metal on the outside of it. Like I said, we really push our stone. We want to make sure we have a healthy stone allowance in there to put some cool stone on there. I don't want this $2 million house to have the same stone on it that you can drive through a production neighborhood and see. And I don't want it to just look like we put it on there because it needed stone on it. It's got to be like old school, like a stone portion of the foundation, or it's got to be held up by stone. Wherever it goes, make sure it looks cool. The metal, the standing seam metal, and again, this depends on the gauge of metal that you're using. It's got to be a smooth panel. It should be like an inch and a quarter, inch and a half rib on it, and make sure that it stands out. Again, it's on the Woodford, the Ashbury, the Hickory Hill, Philadelphia, Stony Oaks. I mean, Mulberry Ridge. All of these guys have that on those houses, so it looks really, really good. You got to be careful with that stone and hardy and metal, because if it could take you in a direction of Craftsman, farmhouse, those kind of things. And just make sure that when you're looking at these things, that again, you need to have a really good designer working with you to make sure that all this stuff comes together. I know everybody can do this, but you need to have a good designer. Painted brick. Let's talk about that, because everybody's thinks this is the dumbest thing in the world. I think that one of the reasons why painted brick became so popular was probably back in the old days. The brick probably started to fade away, get a little rough, and people were like, why don't you paint it, seal it up, and so it looks good. The other reason why is because if you try and get a consistent colored brick, it's going to look like a Burger King and or a Starbucks. And I think that, not to say that looks bad, it just doesn't look good because of the brickwork, because of the way it comes together. And if you try and do it, it's not going to be as consistent. There's the way we lay the brick, the way that we clean the brick, the way the brick gets shipped, it chips, whatever it is, and it just becomes very difficult to do. And so we paint it, and it looks really good. The paint lasts for a long, long time. We use a paint called Loxon on this brick. But one of the things I realized a while ago is you've got to have the right brick to paint it. So when we did the Pickwick Place last year, we put this really nice, kind of expensive brick on the house. It looked so awesome. And then we painted it, and I must have got 50 phone calls. I can't believe you painted that brick. Well, it looks good. It's got a grapevine joint in it. It's got a rolled, tumbled brick, got a sandy face to it, and we painted it, and it looks so awesome. This is one of those things why you can stand there and look at this house and go, man, this thing looks so awesome. How'd you do that? Well, that's a big portion of it. You wouldn't expect that kind of detail. And when you're thinking about why it looks so good. So Pickwick Place, Heartland Reserve, House of Peace, the Arden, there's so many different ones that are just look really good. I think it turns it on. Looks pretty cool. The cathedral ceiling on the covered porch. Now, this is another one. The cathedral, because I when we did that 2021 Homearama out in Anderson, the Woodford. When Mark Durkers and I sat down to design that plan, I'm like, man, I want this thing to be open from the front to the back. How do we do that? How do we walk in and have a cathedral? How do we do it and so the cathedral carries on from the foyer or from the loft upstairs, jumps into the great room, runs all the way out to the back porch. And it's truss after truss after truss. And the only thing that's separating it is some windows in the great room. So that's something that I really like. Looks really cool. And last year on the Pickwick Place, it was the first time that we have seen a screen stretched in the gable. Why is that a big deal? Well, because it's pretty tough to do when you're stretching that screenese product up into different triangles and instead of just rectangles or squares. But I like it. I love this look, and I think it's cool. But when we open the back of that gable up, you have to be prepared for some weather to get into that porch area. But it just, man, the beams and when, again, this comes back to that placement on those beams. If they're not the right way and they're not even all the way out to the back porch, it looks like you just put some wood up there. It doesn't look like they're holding things up. The Woodford, Pickwick Place, House of Peace, Stony Oaks, the Vanderen, Heartland Haven, so many of them have this cathedral look to them. And the cathedral on a standard house, a production style house, neighborhood house, the interior cathedral on those trusses is probably going to be a max 6 pitch, 612 pitch on the inside of it. And that is going to get you a check off on your list to say, yep, I got a cathedral. I want this thing to follow the roof line. I want it, if the outside's a 10, I want the inside to be a 10. If the outside's a 12, same thing on the inside, which takes a lot of different structural members to put this together. It's got to be held in place. It's got to be designed. The truss has got to be designed, and the bearing points of the design, it's got to be there. So that all comes into play. But that's a key factor to it, making sure that the pitch is right, and that's going to make it look awesome. The trims and the moldings and the ceiling treatments and all these things. So we have on our pages of our plans, probably for every floor that we do, we have a ceiling plan as well, and it's a reflective ceiling plan. And so we want to make sure that the ceilings are just as cool, just as is so awesome as the floors, as the walls, as whatever we're doing. So when it comes to beams, when it comes to colored finishes, when it comes to designs, take a look up. Again, this is another one of those things. Man, I feel really cool sitting in this room. This is really good. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, wow, maybe that's why. But look at all those ceiling details. Look at the trim moldings on the walls. So this will make a big difference when I like a lot of woodwork, but if you get into a modern contemporary house, you're not going to have as much woodwork. You don't want it because you want cleaner lines, all consistent colors coming across there. You don't want to break it up with wood trim going around the windows, wood trim going around the doors, wood trim going around the ceiling lines. So I think that a lot of woodwork is really neat, and kind of gives us a little bit of this is where you can brag a little bit as a builder by doing all this cool woodwork and making sure that it's done really well. And the same thing with the ceilings. Those ceiling plans are so important. Again, when we do a tray ceiling, we want to make sure that the tray ceiling's built up into the trusses. It's a 12-inch bump. It's not an 8-inch built down into the room just so you can get a tray ceiling off your plate. Make sure that it's something that it's meant to be. It's intentional. Ceiling details are intentional. Coffered ceilings, we still will do a lot of those, and we do them in different materials. We could do them. We got one right now over in Coleraine Township that is going to be all drywall, but they're big and boxy, so it makes it pretty neat. We do the ones in our office, and the ones in a lot of our houses are made out of like a wood painted poplar, and then they've got crown molding in each coffer, and they've got can lights in each coffer. And then tray ceilings, I like it when we do a multi-stage tray ceiling, or we do a deep tray ceiling. So it's, 14, 18 inches deep, and it really has some significance to it. And again, it's intentional and makes a statement. And then let's talk about arches, because, there's certain things that weren't meant to be in construction, and that's round and flat when it comes to ceilings and roofs. But arches are a big deal, and they are difficult to put together, and it's not a just. And so when you talk about putting an arch above the front porch, which we have multiple of those going on, you got to understand how to frame it. Because there's not a book that says here's how you do it. You got to make sure that the bearing points on it are good. You got to make sure that the drainage for the gutters and all those things are going to be good. And then you got to make sure you got a really good metal person that's going to come in there and put the standing seam metal over top of it and just kick that thing off. So we've done this a bunch of times on those porches, and it looks really awesome. We do it a lot of times on dormers, and it looks really awesome. And with arches and along with cathedrals, it makes it so much more intentional if you have other things that go along with it. So if I have an arched roof on the front porch, I want an arched front door. I want an arch going into the house. Don't do an arch when everything else is square. Don't do everything square when you got a random, or when you got a bunch of arches in there. So when you walk in to the foyer, when we separate the great room and the kitchen in a couple different places, if you have arches, arch those as well. And that's where it becomes tricky, because you got to have a wood crafter that's got the knives to make that arch casing. You've got to use different material inside that arch, because I want it to be like 10 or 12 inches wide. I don't want that arch to just be 3.5 inches wide like the wall is. Make it big and bulky and intentional. When you do that, now you have a wider piece of wood that is painted with an enamel that shows every defect that you can possibly think think of in your entire life, especially when the sun shines on it. So you got to make sure those things are perfect. So arches are really, really big. We did it on the Mulberry Ridge. We did it on the Pickwick Place around the kitchen window. And this is the kitchen window for the Pickwick Place Homearama 2024 for Wieland Builders. When we sat down with the Desards, we started with that window. We had an inspiration picture that was really cool. We had a sink that was on the back wall with a window that was looking out the back of it. That was the start of that house. And then we went from there. That was a big arch window. We have it right now out in Goshen on 2 different houses. We've got it over in Carriage Hill right now on a dormer. And we did it in 2017 on that Homearama house. And the arches are really, really cool, but they're difficult to put together. And you can't just have some random person say, yeah, put some arches up there. That looks good. When you talk about woodwork on the inside, I talk a lot about built-ins and lockers. And so one of the things that drives me crazy about built-ins is that when we look at I want this to be a piece of furniture. I want it to be slick finished. I don't want it to just be painted with enamel, and I want it to operate and function really good. So we build as many of the built-ins out of our cabinet materials we possibly can. But that's something, the cubbies and the lockers in the mudroom, we can do that out of cabinetry. But again, this has to be intentional, that we've designed it around how your family plans on using it, not just because you think you need it. We've done some huge lockers like in the Mulberry Ridge. Take a look at that, because those are some really cool big lockers. In Woodford, we did a bench, and we did some cabinetry to create like a drop zone in there. That was pretty neat. In Pickwick Place, we did a whole intentional room. So she was going to have her little desk area, which we did back there. But then, it's got a really cool floor that's in there. And then it's got a long bench because they have 37 kids, and we had to make sure that they had enough space to put all their stuff. I'm kidding, because I know that they're going to listen to this and call me and be like, "What's your problem?" But that was really neat. It was intentional for their family and how that was going to work. The walk-in pantry is humongous. When people talk about what we are doing today, talk about what's new. Well, pantry's not new, bedroom's not new, but the pantry today is humongous. It's just as big as the kitchen almost. It's got almost as much cabinetry in there as the kitchen does. They're putting appliances back there, all sorts of things, because you don't want anything sitting on your counter. Everything's going in the pantry. It's kind of like a back kitchen, but it's another cool space. And you'll remember, and I keep referring to this because it was a cool house, is in the Pickwick Place. We had some of the coolest wallpaper in there, and I have a picture of Raina, my daughter, in front of it. And it was just, and then you could see that wallpaper from the dining room, and it just turned it on. My friend Chris Gorman said, you can do some coolest things in small spaces, even though the pantry's huge. Do something like that. It's really, really neat. They also had some huge lockers in there for storage for different things that they were going to do. When you go to the Mulberry Ridge, Kathy, who was on the show as well, she found an old, really, really old door that used to have glass in it. The glass is all gone out of it. Our trim guys took and routed the hinges into it, and they hung it on the pantry, and it is so neat. So I hope you can go to our website and see that thing. Again, that walk-in pantry is so neat. I hope you guys can get ideas from those when you go to the show. So the large functional islands, this is something you never want anything smaller than an 8-foot island, but most of the slabs that you get today are 10, 10.3, 10.5. So if you can get it all in one piece, do that. So you don't have a seam in the middle of it, make that thing humongous, because that's where you're going to be sitting at the majority of the time. I didn't know this until the other day, but my wife has to move the chairs around at the bar stool because I sit in the same spot every single day, every single morning when I come home. And if I'm going to do some work, I sit in the same spot. So she moves the chairs around. My one of my mentors, Myron Bowling, used to do the same thing, sit in the same spot every single day. Luxurious primary suite. This has always been a thing. This is we call it the primary suite. This is the master suite. This is the main place. We're designing so much stuff around this area because a lot of the people we're building for may have kids that are probably in the time that they're living there are going to move out, and then this is still going to be just their house. And so they want to make sure that this thing is really cool. It has a huge shower in it, a huge shower with multiple shower heads with all kinds of cool designs on the floor, on the walls, a lot of glass, no glass, all kinds of things happening in this area. And then you talk about the closets being connected to the bathrooms, being connected to the hallways, being connected to the laundry room. There's a lot of things happening in this whole area that make things cool. So make sure that you check it out. Steam showers are a big thing too, where this again takes a lot of doing to put this thing together to make sure it's done the correct way. But a steam shower is something that's pretty popular too. Jack and Jill baths are either you love them or you hate them, and a lot of people say, hey, it makes good use of space to do a Jack and Jill bath, and especially if it's I don't know where Jack and Jill ever came from, because it should be like Jack and Jack or Jill and Jill, because you don't want to mix the dudes and the chicks. But some people say no, we don't want to do that, or you just have one common space and making sure that the kids can get together, and anymore people are saying just make them all private suites. Just don't even do the Jack and Jill or the Jack and Jack. But custom built-ins, we talked about this a little bit, but custom built-ins are, in a great room. They're in the library. They're in the bedroom. They're all over the place. You can go crazy with this. I challenge people a lot of times, hey, go find a piece of furniture that you're going to like to put there that's going to be a lot more groovy than just having this built-in cabinet that is not movable, that is permanent, stuck in this space when you're talking about a bedroom or something like that. In the study, that's a cool place to really show off our woodwork, and we do a lot of those things. The home offices is a really big thing. I think that the difference between today and yesterday is that the old days, they had to have this big egomaniac desk in there. It was more for show than it was for work. Probably had a huge PC computer that was sitting there, and had a lot of different workspace. Nowadays, you sit there and look at an iPad or a laptop. You can work from the couch. You can work from different places. So those spaces can probably be a little bit smaller, but they still have a lot of cool features and functional features in them. And most of our houses, and Homeramas aren't any exception, just like the Pickwick Place, there's 2 workspaces in that house. There's one for her and one for him, and they're both utilizing them quite a bit. And so we started this in 2013 in that Homerama in Carriage Hill, where we did a pocket office for the lady, and she loved it, and it was her idea, and it was so cool. And then we did a great big office for him, and his was more of that kind of old school look that was pretty neat, and we designed it and did all kinds of different stuff in there. But nowadays we still carry on, in Pickwick Place. This was no different. Where Mark had his office in there and Sarah had her workspace in there. And then in Mulberry Ridge, we had 2 workspaces in there. Jimmy had his big old office there, and then Kathy also had her office, and they were connected. But it was really cool because when you go into Kathy's, you step up to a step and you go back and kind of back there on the side. I said, man, when Kathy was on here on the show, I said, you guys must get along really well in order to be able to work 6 feet from each other. And they do. But it was pretty neat to be able to design all that stuff. And that had a ton of woodwork in that office. A ton of woodwork to be able to see that. So go to our website and check that out. But these are things that I think that if you can keep up with all of them, I tried to talk through them fast and shorten it. So because my good friend Don in Bloomington, Indiana, complains about how long these podcasts are. But anyway, I think that this is the things that I look for. Let's touch on a couple other things. When I talk about a Homerama house, I'm looking for overall design. I mean, how cool is this house when I'm standing at the street looking at it? How neat is it? What was the use of materials? Was it put together good? Did it all kind of correlate? Does it look good? The landscaping. That's something that people come to Homerama for all the time, to see the landscaping, because these guys really do it up. It looks so cool. If you know anything about landscaping, you can look at these different bushes and different trees and things that they're putting in place, but it has to be tastefully done. You have to think about the direction the house is facing and all different sides. You have to think about how these people are going to use it. What's it going to look like in the wintertime when you're thinking about these houses? And don't overbuild it, because that's happened quite a bit with Homerama houses. houses where they're jam packing things in there, and you come back and look at that house 10 years later and you can't even see the house because it's overgrown. But that's a big thing, really big thing. The decorating. Go to Homearama to see the decorating. And what do you consider decorating? Well, for us, for Wieland Builders, when Kelly is in here working on our houses, she is involved in all of it. From the colors of the floors, the types of floors, from the colors of the walls to the cabinets, to the colors of the cabinets, the countertops, the light fixtures, every single thing that goes into that house, she has her hands on it with the customers. And then you look at some of the things like blinds and window treatments and just different the knickknacks that they put out to make it look staged, like somebody's actually living there, somebody's going to actually be eating breakfast there. Looking at all these different things, that's a big deal. And so look at the decorating, and then look at the builders when you walk in there, and who's answering the door. Is somebody answering the door? Are they polite? Are they talking to you? Are they generally interested in you being at that show and grateful that you're there? I think that's really important. So when you're at Homearama, I would expect to go out there and have an enjoyable experience for the evening, for the day, and get to see some really cool houses. If you don't have that experience, call me. I'll have you on the show and we'll talk about why you didn't. But I think that you're going to have a great experience. So we do have a house that we are designing right now, currently, for the 2026 Homearama. It's going to be out just east of Mainville, and it's going to be a pretty neat house. And I'll tell you that these people called us and said, "Hey, we've been coming to Homearama for years. We live in a Homearama neighborhood, and not a Homearama house, but a Homearama neighborhood right now, and they've always looked forward to doing something like this, and now they have the opportunity to do it, and we get to do it with them. So look for us in the 2026 Homearama. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I have for Homearama. This was ad lib, short notice, and we have some really cool guests coming up in the future here. Brian Lapthorne is going to come on this show, and we are going to talk about a number of different things that are off topic of building. We're going to talk about his experience with us when we built, but then we're going to move into his topic, and I don't want to spoil it, but a lot of it revolves around mental health, and it's something that I want to talk about. And then we also have Andy Korb, who I've had in-depth conversations with. Andy is an auctioneer. He owns the Stockyards butcher plant up in College Corner outside of Oxford, and he's a farmer, and he's just a well-rounded dude who I think is interesting to talk to because he works his butt off every single day. And so we're going to have him on the show and talk about a number of different things. I think everybody will find that interesting because the more people I talk to, they keep asking me about freezer beef, and they know a guy and they talk to a guy, and we used to get some or whatever, and Andy's going to tell you the truth. So it's going to be pretty neat to listen to what he has to say. So anyway, I want to thank the audience. Thank you guys for listening once again to the WB Download, and hopefully we turn it up here in the last couple months of the year and end on a bang. And hopefully you guys are checking out our website and seeing the things that I keep talking about and that we get to do here at Wieland Builders. And then, don't forget to subscribe to the WB Download on your favorite podcast service. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. And don't forget that we drop on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. Don't forget any of that stuff. If you do, you won't be listening to me ramble on any longer. If you want to be part of the conversation, reach out to me at wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com and check out our website at wielandbuilders.com. Everybody, I'm Jeff Wieland here on the WB Download.